So today's lesson was 5.4, multiplying fractions. Here's your steps. Step 1, change any mixed number to improper fraction. Step 2, reduce if possible. Step 3, multiply the numerator straight across. Step 4, multiply the denominator straight across. Determine if it's positive or negative number. So let's look at number 1. Number 1 says 3/7 times, remember parentheses means to multiply, negative 5/9. Now this negative here, I'm going to put it as above where the numerator is so that I don't forget my negatives. So now let's look, anything you can cross reduce. Well, 7 and 5 you can't reduce. How about 3 and 9? You can. So 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 9 3 times. Multiply across. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5, and 7 times 3 is 21. So your answer is negative 5 over 21. Let's look at number 2. It says negative 9 over 25 times negative 5 over 27. Here I'm going to take all my negatives and put it in my numerator because it's just easier for me to remember my negatives there. Okay, anything you can cross reduce, you can. So you have 9 goes into 9 once, 9 goes into 27 3 times. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 25 5 times. Multiply across. Negative 1, don't forget that negative. Negative 1 times negative 1 equals 1. And 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, number 3. You have to do the circle of fun. You cannot keep a mixed number to do a multiplication of fractions. So here you have to do the circle of fun. So 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Make sure you keep that negative 13 over 3, times 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5 halves. Okay, let's look at, is there anything you can cross reduce? Nothing, so you got to multiply across. Negative 13 times 5 is equal to 65, but don't forget that negative because you said negative 13 times. And 3 times 2 is 6. Now, if this is a mixed number, your answer needs to be a mixed number, so you're going to divide negative 65 and 6. You have to ask yourself, do you win or lose? You lose. Automatically put that negative in there so you don't forget your negative. Now divide. 6 goes into 6 once. Subtract is 0. 6 goes into 5. It does not, so it's a 10. 0. And your remainder is 5, so it'll be 5 6. So your answer is negative 10 and 5 6. Look at number 4. Okay, number 4, you have multiplication, so that means you can just look at your numerator and denominator. Here, make sure that's negative is at as your numerator. Well, you can cross reduce the 8 and the 4. 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 8 twice. You can cross reduce the negative 3 and the 9. Negative 3 goes into 3 negative 1 time. 9 goes into 3 3 times. You're also going to do 2 and negative 2. So 2 goes into it once, 2 goes into negative 2 once, and it's negative 1. Okay, now multiply across. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Okay, and 1 times 7 times 3 is 21. So the answer is 1 over 21. Okay, last problem, number 5. You have negative 2 times 5 6 plus 11 fifteenths. So you have to do multiplication. Order of operation tells us to do that first. So I'm going to make negative 2 a fraction of fractions, so it's negative 2 over 1. You can cross reduce. Negative 2 goes into 2 twice, negative 1 time, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. Multiply across and you get negative 5 thirds. Okay, plus 11 fifteenths. Now you got to find your common denominator. So the common denominator is 15. 3 goes into 15 5 times, so you're going to multiply it by 5. 15 goes into 15 1 times, multiplied by 1. Negative 5 times 5 is negative 25, and 11 times 1 is 11. You have a negative number and a positive number, so that means that you have to make a box around the bigger number and subtract. 25 minus 11 is 14/15, and since you made a box around the negative 25, the answer is negative 14/15.